Hey everybody, Jay Barino here, welcome back. This is IXION. It's a survival city builder in space. Kind of like Frostpunk in space, but honestly, quite a bit more challenging than Frostpunk, in my opinion. I'm going to be playing through on the challenging difficulty, and I will be showing how to get the Beyond Time and Space achievement as well, which is something you have to do across the multiple chapters of the game. So for the prologue, there is a lot of intrusive dialogue. I'll be letting it play and be doing stuff in the background. Once that's all done, then I'll pause and explain, how I'm playing the game and some of the mechanics of the game so you can kind of catch up and understand what's happening. Once we're about halfway through the prologue, there's basically none. There's not much more intrusive dialogue for the rest of the game, for reasons that will become clear. Anyway, with that in mind, let's get started. I really, really enjoy this game. Been playing it a lot over the last couple weeks, so I thought I'd make a series for it. An unrelenting fight for survival. Recommended for administrators who have completed default mode and want to really test their skills. Send me in. Yeah, I've been having a blast with this. I might go back and revisit Frostpunk as well, just because now I'm in the mode for some survival city building. I had read someone say that this is akin to a proper spiritual successor to Outpost 2 Divided Destiny, which is what put it on my radar, and it's more city builder than Outpost 2. Outpost 2 is a little more RTS than city builder. This kind of flips the script. But I really, really enjoy this game. Highly recommended.
Launch control, we have Tycoon clearance for shuttle launch. Initiate Stanford protocol.
Clean procedures, check. Guidance go.
EA algorithm online.
Batista safety protocol, check.
Launch control to EMB Charon. All systems are go.
Launch is imminent. Personnel are instructed to evacuate the launch pad.
Minus 30 seconds.
Deflectors out. Ignition. Lift off.
Launch sequence complete. EMB Charon heading for low Earth orbit. Transferring data to inner heaven.
Keep it on.
Visualize the Proxima Tycoon structure.
PPS Tycoon to EMD share. You have clearance for final approach. EMD share. You have been assigned to Tycoon Docking Bay. Welcome on board, passengers.
So I'm just going to be collecting some supplies here while the PA talks to us. Again, there's a lot of dialogue here at the start, but I'll play on a slower game speed.
EMV Charon is now docked. Sector 1 empowered and pressurized. Munchie decontamination protocol online. Disembarkation authorized. Message to crew members. Welcome on board the Tycoon, property of DOLOS Aerospace Engineering Corporation. You will soon be given your assignments, but until then, please continue to wait near the docking bay. We hope you have a productive voyage and would like to thank you for your contribution towards humanity's future. Administrator, I am Eden, the personal assistant installed on board the Tycoon. In accordance with the Munchie Protocol, I have been designed to take into consideration your complete psychological profile so that I may more accurately respond to any needs you may have. My primary purpose is to ensure the Tycoon's automated systems function efficiently. I will keep track of the tasks that are necessary for you to fulfill your prerogative of reaching Proxima Centauri and carrying out field research, mining operations, manufacturing protocols, and DOLOS colonization tests.
Administrator, I wanted to introduce you to your first tasks personally. I'm DOLOS' cryonics lead, Marduk Council member Giovanni Battista. So, let's see. Your first objective will be to begin setting up essential infrastructure aboard the Tycoon, meeting the environmental conditions that are required to support your crew. Having laid these foundations, you will then oversee the installation of the Vohle engine and perform a short test jump to Proxima Centauri. Upon arrival, your research teams will carry out a brief survey of local space, gather a few rock and coal dust samples, fire up the colonization protocol, begin building the foundations for mankind's future, yada yada yada. And then you'll come back. Now, in order to achieve this, you'll need to familiarize yourself with the Tycoon's core functions. It's no big deal. There's the production, stockpiling and distribution of resources, construction, balancing of power output with allocation. Oh, and space exploration, you know, setting out expeditions and all that. Basically, everything needed to establish scientific advancement and harmonious autonomy on board the Tycoon following the first test of its Vohle engine. Eden's gonna display and keep track of your main objectives. Oh, and Administrator, don't let the position go to your head. Veneer has insisted to center DOLOS' focus on the Tycoon. But this mission is just in preparation for our next project, the Protagoras. The Marduk Council worked damn hard to pull this mission together ahead of schedule. So, toe the line, do as you're told, and bring the Tycoon back in one piece. Leave the grand gestures and saving of mankind from ecosystemic destruction to us, okay? One last word of advice. We don't all think like Veneer DOLOS. As of yet, no human law has been officially established amongst the stars. That sounds like an opportunity knocking to me.
Okay, so we basically live in a technocratic dystopia, not dissimilar to the reality right now, but he's basically saying there's no laws in space. We're a corporation. We're trying to expand humanity into the stars. There's no laws out there, so who knows what could happen. Very exciting stuff. So I dismantled my docking bay and moved it over slightly just because its initial placement is not ideal. And then we're very limited on space here. There's 6 sectors. We're only in the first sector right now. Really all I'm doing is I'm gathering up these supplies on the ground and putting them in stockpiles. If you want to do anything with resources, they have to be put in a stockpile first, and then you can transfer them into something else in order to build with whatever it is. So we have alloys, which is basically steel. We have polymer, which is used to build anything space-related, like outside the station. And then we have electronics, which are rare and used as just sort of like a technology buffer resource that you need for higher-tier stuff. So again, we're rebuilding our dock. I'm just trying to collect the stuff off the ground, and I'm trying to build a layout that's going to be conducive to later in the game, because the less we have to move things around later, the better. We're going to have to move stuff around, especially when you're clearing out the floor, but for the most part, we just want to get this to a point where it's manageable here right at the start without having to rethink and moving too much stuff.
Administrator, I have established a connection with DOLOS' lead data scientist, Emma Klein.
Administrator, Mr. DOLOS has made it abundantly clear when it comes to security. Given the importance of the Tycoon, we must have full control over what is happening inside the station. My name is Emma Klein, DOLOS' lead data scientist and member of the Marduk Council. My department have just completed final synchronization between Eden and our data treatment tool, the DLS. The DLS, or Data Listening System, is capable of scanning, recording, and parsing exchanges of any kind. The DLS programming that is a part of Eden will filter all data collected and bring to your attention only the most relevant information. It will also provide you with a condensed overview of any situations that may arise and formulate potential future outcomes. It will permit you to give direct orders without having to go through additional unnecessary paperwork. Eden will then take care of everything via their DLS accreditation. As is often the case with tools produced by my department, I think you'll find that once you start using the DLS, you'll never be able to do without it. Oh, and before I let you go ahead and start writing history, Dr. Munchie, our lead medical expert, wanted me to bring to your attention a possible side effect of Vohle jumping. Whilst there is a correlation between prolonged space travel and the development of early onset dementia, he believes that a Vohle jump has the potential to accelerate this process, although this is yet to be proven. His recommendation is for you to immediately send any crew members that are exhibiting uncharacteristic or symptomatic behavior to an infirmary, as these facilities are equipped to treat the mind as well as the body. Remember that all of your actions and choices are being recorded by Eden. We are not affiliated with any national or even international organization. The only people that you are answerable to are those of us who sit on the Marduk Council, who represent the collective interests and ambitions of the company.
Administrator, a new request awaits your attention.
So again, it's a technocracy. Is that the right word for that? Anyway, so there is the United Nations government of Earth, but we're sort of at odds with them because again we're in space. We're sort of jockeying for who has authority up here. So as you can see, what happens with each of these stockpiles is they have little trucks. So I collect the alloy, it goes into the stockpile, and then I put down a structure which requires alloy. So then the little trucks take it out, and then they put it inside. So we have a lot of trucks because I have 3 stockpiles full of alloy. And so there's each stockpile right now only has 5 trucks. And then the worker from the workshop comes out and then actually builds the structure. So on the faster difficulty, it happens pretty quick. Let's go ahead and check what they want. Administrator Tycoon crew members are currently unable to access food supplies. Nyocan protocols direct the construction of a mess hall. This building is designed to distribute food from our stockpiles to the crew. Guaranteeing access to food supplies would reaffirm your competency as an administrator. Ensure access to food. So these requests pop up every so often. For the tutorial, you have to do them. Later on, you can decline them. We'll talk more about that when they start happening. But now, again, we're just sort of thinking, like, what's the most efficient way that we can remove these things from the ground so that we can have room to build things without having to move them later, is really what I'm thinking about the most at this point. So really just kind of being able to build across this section here. So we probably want to just get rid of these 2, and that'll kind of help us finish that up. So the mess hall serves food. To be clear, it serves the food, but it doesn't create the food. So interestingly enough, if you look at our tech lab right now, it produces 1 science every 30 cycles. That's god-awful. It's very, very slow. Cycles are basically days in this game, and it's kind of like the tick on when things update. Otherwise, most things happen in real time, but in terms of like game events, it's based on cycles. If you don't build the mess hall right now, there's no food consumed by anybody just because we're in the prologue, so there's no time element to it at all. So you could sit here and just let the tech lab accrue it over like thousands and thousands of cycles, just like let it run overnight. I mean, don't. I wouldn't recommend doing that. If you need to do that, then just lower the difficulty. But I'm just pointing out that's something you can do. So let's go ahead and put down our mess hall and have this built. So we put that there. And we can make a little connecting road right here. We might get rid of that later, but for now that's fine. And I put my tech lab here again. This is for future stuff. So you can see the alloys come in, and then the workshop drone comes in. So you need the workshop to actually build things, but you need the resources to come out of the stockpiles to actually...
Administrator, I have an incoming transmission from Marduk Council member Henry Bargeville.
Okay. He's going to have us start building stuff in space, so I'm going to get ahead of that and go ahead and queue up a assigned ship.
Bonjour, Administrator. What a wonderful day to embrace our fate, don't you think? I'm Henri Barjaville, writer, philosopher, lobbyist, but most of all member of the Marduk Council. I have taken the liberty of personally arranging an exchange out of courtesy with the Oceanabe, a ship in high orbit belonging to one of our commercial allies, the Ashtongites. Even though they are a small organization, the Ashtongites are important partners who share the same pragmatic, moralistic, and spiritual outlook as we do. The Oceanabe will provide us with a source of food while carrying out the Tycoon's initial testing. By making it the first exclusive trade partner of the Tycoon, we will demonstrate to our long-term allies that DOLOS wishes for them to share in our successes. Please assign a cargo ship so that we can check the trade routines. Administrator, trust in genetic connectors. Self-similar space will reveal the pattern.
It's a very cryptic setting, like genetic conitis and self-similar space. It's all very odd. We'll talk more about it later. The narrative is fairly, I don't want to say subdued, but it's in the background. There's a lot to kind of discover if you want to think about it, but otherwise we're just building stuff in space, right? So let's close this. Let's see. Let's go ahead and queue up a cargo ship because we need to collect, and then we'll go to the space view. We'll look at that. Let's see what they want. Administrator, some crew members are lacking quarters. During human history, unnecessary homelessness has always been an indicator of civilizational decay. Do not reproduce humanity's basic mistakes aboard the Tycoon. So see here, I have a choice now. If I say yes to this, if I fail, then I lose a portion of crew trust. And if crew trust goes to 0, you lose the game. If the hull of the ship goes to 0, you lose the game. So you kind of have two different health bars that you have to manage. If you decline it, then you don't have the potential to fail it, but if you decline too many requests in a given chapter, then you get saboteurs that cause more accidents. A lot of the times, I feel like the saboteur accidents are less of a problem than the lost trust of failing, but there are going to be cases where we can afford to actually fulfill the requests, and usually the requests come up in a way that want to kind of spur you along and get moving, because you can go very slow in this game, and on hard difficulty you have to be very meticulous. But a lot of the times the requests are worth doing in the sense that it's a goal that you want to get to anyway. It just puts a time limit on it. So yes, we'll say yes. We'll end the data listening protocol, and we just use that sort of as an indicator of like what we should be building. So I'm going to go ahead and put down some crew quarters over here. You can only build things that are connected to roads if that's not clear. So we put some roads in here so we can get to these ones in the back. And that's going to consume some of our alloys so we can collect more of them. All right, so those are getting queued up. We have 80 citizens. Each one of these holds 15 people, so that should be enough for now. Homelessness does impact stability in a sector. There's so many things, I guess, to talk about. So stability is this happy meter down here. I guess we're getting plus 10 from the almighty DOLOS buff, but we're getting minus 3 from homelessness being over 75%. So I think it's minus 2 for 50 and minus 1 for over 25%. So as long as you have 75% of a sector's population housed, that's all that matters. You can have a certain number be homeless and it doesn't impact stability at all. But that's if this is red, it means that stability is impacted. So next, we can go out to this view, and we've got the outside of the Tycoon. Very exciting. See, there we are. There's Sector 1. And then we could build stuff out here eventually. We can't yet because we need a different type of space building to let us get outside and build stuff on the outside of the ship. But then, more so, now we go to the planetary system map. Very exciting. So this is a whole separate part. We're waiting for our science ship to complete, because the science ship we can send to where these points of interest, and we can collect science, which lets us then upgrade stuff. So again, there's a lot of micromanaging to do here. For now, let's just speed the game up and let these ships finish. Okay, the science ship is done. And resolve the moon event. So we come out here and we send our science ship Sensitive. That's exciting. That's a nice name. They're random. We send it to the moon. And then I usually will either play on paused or I'll play on 3 times speed. The normal speed is just, everything is too slow.
A science ship has arrived at its destination.
The base is out of commission, auxiliary systems are operational, and could be used to restore power. We have reached the UN base, it is abandoned and depressurized. The surveillance system is still operational, awaiting orders. So usually, it's not always super clear, but these are either mutually exclusive or you can do all of them in a certain order. So I've already played this game. I know what the best choices are to pick, so I'm going to be doing those. The first time I played the game on normal difficulty, I lost many a science crew members and ships just by picking risky options. Early on, most things are pretty safe, but the later into the game you get, the harder it becomes to keep your science teams alive. So we're going to exploit the vulnerability, and then now the cycle counter starts ticking down for when those will be done. And then we're waiting for the cargo ship, because we can come out here and we can see the Urshanabi that the council member was telling us about has some food on it for us to collect. Not very much. We are going to need to become more self-sufficient with our food. So mousing over this, the most important thing that I look at when I look at this is where it says current average production covers blank % of meal requirements. If that's over 100%, you're good. The average balance over 5 cycles is okay, but eventually you have food production structures that output at different regiments of time, so it makes it maybe a little confusing to know. I think we can pick these up now. Let's get back here. This is the prologue, so there's not really much. There's no, like, time pressure. If anything, I'm taking way longer than I need to let the people talk and not just do the stuff.
Ship team has completed a task.
Okay, so we're paused right now. So we go to the fleet menu here. So we have our cargo ship, and if you just look up here, it's basically saying, like, this is what's available in the system to be picked up. So I just highlight the food, and that immediately assigns the one cargo ship to go and pick up the food and bring it back to our docking bay. Meanwhile, we can check the point of interest. We hacked into the main computer systems as you ordered and retrieved several relevant research papers and data sets. So that gives us 10 science. But it doesn't just go right in. You have to collect the science with the science ship. But in the meantime, first, we're just going to go ahead and dismantle the base, which is going to take 2 more cycles. So I'm over-explaining this just because once we get into actual Chapter 1 proper, I'm just going to be going. We're just going. So there's going to be a lot less explaining. I mean, they'll be explaining, but, you know, right now, it's... So see this 10? It's not being collected because now it's exploring the point of interest. Urshanabi's been picked up. There's the cargo ship, just came back in, dropped the food off. Delightful. And then, let's go ahead and extend our roads, and we can get rid of the extra roads. I try to collect this stuff slowly so that we don't overextend ourselves. Okay, we are fully quartered right now. And then we get rid of these extra roads. So the worker from the workshop also builds the roads. And if it's building a building, it can't build the roads. There's only one, so you could build multiple workshops if you want. I don't think that's really worth it. Let's go ahead and check the event. The base has been dismantled. Although most equipment was damaged, we were able to prepare some usable resources for extraction. So that gave us 30 alloy and 90 science. So we end data listening, which is what was explained to us is basically the PA, who's called Eden, of the ship. Everything filters through that. So, like, every crew member is being monitored, and all these events are monitored and filtered through the PA, who then talks to us. So pretty much all of our decisions are given to us through the PA, and that becomes relevant later. Anyway, let's go ahead and speed up so that we collect this, and we can go ahead and assign our cargo ship to go and pick up that alloy. They have a capacity. They have cargo size of 30, by the way. Now that we're collecting science, we can look at the tech tree. Very exciting. You need this structure in order to do that. So we only have access to these things right now. All of these have multiple upgrades. We'll look at those later. It's not really something we have to worry about right now. But the very first thing we're going to get is EVA airlock. Repairs up to 42 units of hull per cycle for 6 units of alloy, and can construct exterior structures. We need to be able to construct exterior structures as soon as possible. And then we can also queue up 1 more research. So we can get a probe launcher or insect farms. We need the ability to make our own food. So let's go ahead and queue up insect farms. We should be getting enough science for that. Okay, speed this back up. And we're mostly just chilling right now as we wait. We were out of storage space for alloys. The cargo, the docking bays themselves can be used as storage. It's just you can't take things from a docking bay straight to constructing a building. It has to go from a docking bay into a stockpile. Then it can be used to do anything else, transfer to other sectors eventually, or actually build structures. So we're just waiting for this because we want to collect all of this. Then we'll go to Mars, and then down here we've got Saturn. Eventually we'll get probes. We can scan for resources and stuff. But again, we're in the prologue still. So EVA airlock can be constructed. I'm going to go ahead and plop that down. That's going to consume a lot of alloy, which is good, so we can pick it up off the ground.
Administrator, I have an incoming transmission from DOLOS's head of medicine, Dr. Abhinav Munshi.
Okay, I'm going to power this off because it's going to depower. We're at 54 power out of 60. So we'll go
Greetings,
next.
Administrator. I'm Dr. Abhinav Munshi, DOLOS expert in compartmentalism and medicine, and a member of the Marduk Council. I'm glad to finally meet you, even in this digital manner. Your psychological test results were quite impressive. My friend and colleague, Philip Stanford, couldn't be here today, so I will take the role of introducing you to the final stages of the Vohle engine integration. Before we get into that, however, we would like you to complete the testing station's exploration and enhancement capabilities. You'll then be able to begin researching the EVA airlock and assess its compatibility with the Tycoon's core systems. I hope that the work of our team will ensure that you are equipped to deal with most situations you encounter up there. Before I leave you, Stanford would like me to remind you that space is a far less fanciful and forgiving environment than science fiction would have us believe. It would be wise to remember that.
Absolutely. So he was basically telling us to start doing the research, which we already did. If we turn this on...
Administrator, due to insufficient levels of electricity generation, Sector 1's power demand has overloaded. Stanford routines recommend that you construct an external solar panel to boost overall electrical output. The science ship has arrived at its destination.
Okay, one thing at a time. Let's go ahead and kick off the Mars stuff. The UN has established a facility on Mars. Its crew are currently lacking the materials required to repair a critical fault in their oxygen supply systems. They've submitted an official request to DOLOS for aid, so kind of our rivals here, but we can help them either for resources or for research data. The science is super critical early in the game, so we'll go ahead and give them polymer and alloys for research. The Sensitive's crew will utilize the Tycoon's research to help repair the fault, so we have to assign a cargo ship to load up with these resources and then take them. And so we will go ahead and do that. And then this science ship is now stuck here until we supply all that stuff. But meanwhile, on the ship, we can't supply the stuff because we're out of power. Let's also see what this event is. Administrator reports are being received relating to Bargeville clan optimization protocols on board the Tycoon. They indicate that crew members are being overworked. Although DOLOS employment contracts make it clear that a high degree of flexibility is required, this situation is beginning to take its toll on morale. It would be pragmatic to deploy additional crew members to reduce the number of concurrently active workplaces. And so there's no reason we wouldn't take the extra people, bring new workers. So workers are available. We assign our cargo ship to go and get them. But right now, we're out of power, so let's focus on that. We can go ahead and turn off our tech lab. That will let us now have our power back. So if we come to the EVA airlock and we go to external construction, that takes us outside, and we can build a solar panel. We can build 2 solar panels, really, so I'm going to go ahead and queue these up. These take pretty much only polymer at this point. Eventually, they're very expensive. But we're just going to have those queued up so that then we can turn our lab back on and continue. So there's our cargo ship coming in to pick up the stuff to give to Mars. And we can also set it to go and pick up the people once it's done. I'm just going to set it to pick up all of our finished goods. So like iron makes alloy, carbon makes polymer, silicon makes electronics. We have ice, food, hydrogen, people, frozen people, normal people. Okay, I'll come out here. So we're just waiting. It's got to go drop this off. Then that will kick off the point of interest. The science ship will start collecting information, and then it'll come all the way back, and it'll pick up the people from the Urshanabi. So that's where we're at right now. And I can turn this back on. And we can go ahead and check our probe launcher. So we research that. So right now, we only have one sector open, so pretty much everything we want to do has to be done here. So I'm going to go ahead and get some structures for food. This will use most of our... This will use most of our alloy that's just sort of sitting around. We can leave them turned off, but we can at least spend the alloy. Because we don't really have workers to crew these. You can see we're in extra hours. Stability is super important in a way, just because it impacts trust, and if trust goes all the way down, you lose. But the working hours actually is probably more important than stability in the short term. Well, short and long term, really. So, why does it say we're starving right now? The mess hall's full. That should go away once they're fed. Oh, it's because we were out of power, so it triggered. Until the cycle ticks over, it'll think that they're going to starve, but they won't. The food's in there. So extra hours basically saying we don't have enough workers to run everything. So everything stays functional, but when you're working extra hours, it causes more accidents. We haven't had any of those yet, but they are a pain. And so you want to stay in optimal working conditions as much as possible. That's possibly the most essential thing to manage throughout the game, honestly, is workers down here. Workers, and then your hull integrity. But we don't have to worry about our hull integrity in the prologue. So we can go ahead and keep picking these up. How are we doing on Mars? Cargo ship's still going.
A science ship team has completed a task.
The oxygen supply system's been repaired, and the relationship between DOLOS and our competitor is improved by 42%. That gives us 10 science. Not a ton, but it's something. Then it's going to go pick up the stuff from the Urshanabi. Let's send our science ship down to Saturn.
Warning. A sector is being overworked.
All right, that is very bad. But this is all in the name of being able to have some food right now. 2 is enough, it looks like, to be at exactly 100% coverage. So we're not adding anything to storage in terms of food right now, but as long as it keeps our head above water. Otherwise, we would just slowly run out of food, and you could lose in the prologue just by not having enough food. Let's go ahead and plop down our probe launcher there. And now keep in mind, we're bringing over more people from the Urshanabi. There they are. We're still in overworked conditions. We don't need the EVA lock running anymore, so we can just turn it off. That frees up the workers. We're back on optimal. We do want the probe launcher, though. Now we have people that are homeless from the Urshanabi, so now we just go back and queue up a few more houses for them. And I'm very meticulous with how I place buildings. Again, this is because in the future I really don't want to have to move things if I can help it, because transferring resources around to make space in your stockpiles can be a bit of a pain. When you demolish things, you get all of the resources back. You get a full refund, which is very, very nice. Okay, the probes cost polymer.
The science ship has arrived at its destination.
To be clear, there's no objective here to build a probe launcher, so it's a bit of a secret. We'll worry about that once we could start shooting probes. A signature trace from an EKP system has been detected near Saturn. EKP technology is the exclusive property of DOLOS, but records indicate that the company has not deployed any missions to this sector. The signature will soon enter the atmosphere of Saturn. I think this one is mutually exclusive. I think this one you get nothing. Sensitive team will perform an EVA to locate and investigate the signature. Sure. That's going to take 3 cycles. Workshop is busy building the probe launcher, and we are still overworked, but we're in the prologue, so I'll allow it. We don't need the infirmary on, so we could turn that off. That would be fine. And then we don't necessarily need all of these stockpiles because we have more alloy than we need. So I can actually turn this off of alloy, and it'll move everything into one of our actual alloy stockpiles instead. So that's perfectly acceptable. And I'll just turn this off until we need it for something else later. Free up those workers. And this is almost done. Again, I'm playing on the faster, very fast game speed for a lot of this. A prototype rocket sent by the UN seems to be a variation of EKP. We have stripped it down and recovered schematics. So we always want to make sure our science team is doing something. That's the important thing here, too. It's just there's a lot to micromanage, and if you stop and wait, then you lose out on quite a lot. So our probe is available. So we scan around. There's nothing really to scan here in the prologue, except you can see science is the little blue diamond. So we shoot our probe out there. And then our science team is finished collecting. And I don't think there's any other research we can start right now. So by finishing Tier 1, it's unlocked Tier 2. I don't need to go into all of this, but I do know that we're going to need a cryonic center. Awakens humans stored in cryonic pods so that we can get more crew later. And we're going to need the steel mill. Both of these are absolutely critical. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the cryonic center first. So that we can start thawing out some people later. Probe has completed its scan, so now we've got a new point of interest out here, so we send Sensitive out there. What a funny name for a science ship. It's just listed as unauthorized access. So this is, again, kind of it's a secret for the prologue. There isn't really an expectation or an objective to do this. The other thing we need to do is we need to actually build the Vohle engine, which is what lets us traverse self-similar space, which is essentially like a faster-than-light form of travel. It's not really expanded upon too much. It's very cryptic on how it works, and it's important to the game in many ways. So let's turn our EVA airlock back on. That kicks us into extra hours, but we've got to do it. And again, it's the prologue, so I'm not too worried about it. And then we go into external construction, and we build the Vohle engine. So then we can kick this back off into faster time, and we're waiting for our science ship. There are going to be parts of this game where it's just a lot of waiting. I might cut out footage, especially towards the end of chapters when I'm just like mining and harvesting and just trying to min-max a little bit.
Has arrived at its destination.
And by a little bit, I mean a lot. You have to min-max a lot to be successful on the hard difficulty. By proceeding beyond this point, you are breaching the terms of your contract with DOLOS AEC. Further action can and will result in summary dismissal. So we can activate the Naomi protocol, create temporary easement, contact the station Outer Hope. So again, these choices are always presented to you by the Eden PA. So everything is filtered through Eden. The Naomi protocol is basically it's another PA that's sort of hidden in the system that lets you do things that are kind of breaking the rules that the DOLOS Eden PA sets for you. So whenever you see Naomi protocol, it's basically an option to be like, yeah, just do it. Like, let's do something different here. It's not always a good outcome, to be clear, but in this case, we will do it. Tycoon Station, this is the Marduk Council member, Rabia Nikond. You're not authorized to interface with Outer Hope. The purpose of this facility is to allow DOLOS to continue with the development of its most highly classified projects, far away from the prying eyes of our competitors and the media conglomerates of Earth. Do you not realize that the whole world is watching you at the moment, and that your presence here could jeopardize this entire operation? I'll be filing an official complaint with Veneer himself, unless perhaps you can do something for me that may change my mind, ? So we can bribe them. So 30 alloy, we'll do it. We don't really know exactly what we're going to get for this. I mean, I know, but I'm just saying, like, these are your choices. You can do it or not. It's up to you. So we come in here and we check the cargo ship was getting loaded up, so it's going to go and drop those off.
Administrator, because of your continued successful management of the Tycoon, DOLOS have authorized the dispatch of new crew members and food supplies. Please ensure that they have suitable accommodation once you reach Proxima Centauri.
Okay. So we get even more stuff. So if we check our fleet out here, so now there are food and people available again on the Urshanabi. But for now, let's just go ahead and drop this stuff off at Outer Hope.
The science ship team has completed a task.
Thank you, Administrator. Now leave. I will ensure that DOLOS issues a public statement that rationalizes our contract here at the edge of the solar system. I'll placate Veneer for now, but you'll need to explain your actions in due course. You might have heard we're working on the next iteration of the Tycoon, the Protagoras. The Tycoon operation must succeed if we are to achieve our goal of bringing humanity into a new era. Trust in genetic canaris. Self-similar space will reveal the pattern. Again, very cryptic stuff, but DOLOS seems to be working on this assumption that, like, we have to expand into space, otherwise we're doomed. Right, so that gives us 2 electronics, very, very critical, and the fact that we can get that in the prologue is really, really good. So, the cargo ship's already set to pick that stuff up. Hello, sir. Turn this off. I just want you to pick up these first. There you go. Okay, and then on your way back, go ahead and pick up the food and the people. The food is less important just because we're now able to make our own and at least be breaking. We're not quite breaking even because we brought in more people. So let's turn on more insect farms. Again, we're in space, so the only food that we can produce ourselves is bug paste, basically. So we're growing bugs, we're breeding bugs, and we're putting them into like a paste that we eat. Delightful stuff. All right, we're back over 100%. And now that we have electronics, we can go ahead and store them. And I am going to go ahead and make this one available for later. And we just turn off the stuff we don't need. So, like, we don't need electronics for anything right now, so we just leave that off. We can also put multiple things inside of stockpiles. So, like, if you don't have another stockpile for electronics and you just deselect this, for example, the electronics still stay in here. It's just it can't supply or take in more electronics. But they're in there. So, like, I could set this to also collect alloy, and this stockpile can now collect and supply alloy while still having the 2 electronics in it, if that makes any sense. We'll be doing that in order to save power and space and resources later. The other thing you see here is every production structure goes through a waste cycle. So waste accrues, and then it has to shut itself down while it disposes of the waste. It's going to be super critical for later. We have more unhoused people, so let's build another round of houses here. And that should be okay for now.
Administrator, the different phases of preparation, calibration, and verification were successfully completed. You must now start the Vohle bonding procedure. DOLOS protocols now deem you competent to gather resources, knowledge, and test colonization routines once you reach Proxima Centauri. Before you do so, Vanir DOLOS, Marduk Council founder and DOLOS CEO, wants to talk to you.
Sure.
Hello, Administrator. I'm glad to see that you have managed to complete your assignments in preparation for this unique moment in history. You must understand that this is not simply another chapter in humanity's story. The book of our life on Earth is over, and we stand now at its epilogue. It saddens me to think that there are many who have yet to comprehend the reality of our situation. We've endured endless cycles of war, crisis, and famine. Still, the worst is yet to come. There are others like DOLOS who have prepared for this outcome, but most of our kind remain sheltered from the horror of the predicament we find ourselves in. This pale ghost of civilization will wither and die, and with it, the tenets and values of the past. As we prepare to leave this system for the first time, perhaps we must decide which fragments we will pick up and take forward with us. Through DOLOS, I am offering mankind an alternative means of survival. The Tycoon is a tablet upon which we will carve our new history. Do you recognize why I have done all of this? Having foreseen our fate, I became fixated on altering it. I set about fashioning the ropes and tying the knots that would bind together this magnificent ship. It is true that our time in this world is brief, but at least I can rest assured knowing that my legacy will endure for eons. Farewell, Administrator. For the few who stand in the light and the many who dwell in the dark, you carry the fate of us all.
All right. So we are done with the prologue, and we are ready to proceed. I have no alloy, no more alloy. I have 5, so I can't build anything. I have no way to get more. I have no way to get any more of any resource, really. We have 5 bug farms, which keep us pretty much exactly even for about 200 crew. So we're going to have to make more of those, but I can't afford that right now. We have an infirmary. It says we don't have one, but I just have it powered off because we don't need it just yet. Only when people start getting injured is that an issue. So that's we're done with the prologue, essentially. So we'll watch the cinematic and all that in a moment, but right now, just kind of going over, where we're at. We have just about enough housing for everyone. Again, if this homelessness stat is in yellow, it means you're not having a stability debuff from it, so we're fine here. We do get +1 stability because people are housed in crew quarters. There are different types of quarters that give you more stability or less. Like there's worse housing that we can get eventually that holds more people, but you don't get any stability bonus from it. Stuff you have to just keep in mind. We do have plenty of workers, which is good right now. So it's really just this cycle of saying, like, I want to expand, but to expand, I need workers. But in order to have more workers, I need to be able to support them with housing and food. In order to have more housing and food, I need more resources and more people to work at the food places. You don't need workers for the houses. So it's kind of this delicate balance of micromanaging resources, whether it be people, power, food, specifically alloy. The other two are important in many ways, but food and alloy are going to be the two game losers. So those are the two we have to stay on top of no matter what. There's a bit of an equilibrium we can get to later, but right now it's just important that we do what we can to try and, it's again for chapter 1 especially. Chapter 1 and 2 are the two hardest, and then we'll be kind of on a roll there and be a little more self-sufficient. But chapter 1 and 2 are going to be very, very tight. Very, very tight. I'm really excited actually to show you all this game and how it gets kind of stressful. We might have to do some reloading, we'll see. But this is a good end to the prologue, so let's go ahead and head back out here and fire up our Vohle engine. We need to move to the moon first. All power from the main grid will be diverted to the EKP systems for less than a cycle. Sectors will be powered by batteries during this time. Well, we don't even have batteries. We have no batteries. So the Tycoon itself can move. Again, you don't really want to do that, though, if it's going to force a power outage. We don't have an option right now, and the moon is very close. So now we can initiate the Vohle jump. And this is saying while it charges, then everything will be powered down, same as when you move it, and you can't cancel it.
In accordance with Ralph Stanford procedures, all ships must return to the Tycoon before Vohle jump initiation.
Okay, let's do it.
The Earth, our home, she is unique. Held in its bosom are the ingredients of evolution. Beyond raw survival, beyond the safety of comfort, we, humanity, pursue something greater. We have learnt, persevered, shaped our knowledge from that which is found in the furthest realms of science. However, humanity has brought destruction to the earth, polluted its blood, choked its breath. Today we are paying the price for this. We know the taste of a dying world. But the earth is not to be our grave. A mother does not wish to see her children disappear with her. She wishes to see instead courage in her children, to carry on. DOLOS carries this courage. We have gone further than any nation, moved faster than any corporation, hand in hand with those who, like us, carry that courage. The Tycoon Station is both an epilogue of these endeavors and a prologue to humanity's next steps. Our Council of Scientists leads the vanguard. They know, as do we all, that the survival of humanity now depends on what we glimpse out there in the dark. That we are masters of our own destiny. That we must go as a species bound together, pushing further into the unknown. We set sail on this new sea because there is hope to be found, horizons to explore, and because our very existence depends on it. I give you the stars. I give you the Vohle engine.
Bummer.
Full jump complete. Running preliminary diagnostics. Several anomalies detected. Multiple digital security breaches found within Vohle jump routines. Vohle engine critically damaged. Hull integrity compromised. Analysis confirms discrepancies between the mission clock and the apparent advanced state of the solar system. We are receiving no communication signals from Earth. Likelihood of ongoing survival stands at approximately 7.67%. Activating Marduk survival protocols. New mission objective established. Ensure humanity's survival by finding a habitable exoplanet. Urgent issues requiring immediate attention. Increase food production output. Restore hull integrity.
Okay, we're here in Chapter 1. Things are going to start getting crazy wild. We'll investigate the state of the solar system and Earth when we come back, and all the things now that we have to deal with now that we are adrift in space. All right, I'll see everyone next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.